The bullets and the punches and the riots have been flowing in only one direction for too long.
I've been trying to tell you guys this whole time how corrupt all of these things were, and here we are.
It is not our responsibility to fix something they spent years intentionally trying to destroy. Unity can only happen in a country when you have a people who agree on what the outcomes should be.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. It is Monday, and it was an awesome weekend. Folks, we got a new guest with us. I don't know if you guys can see him up there. Can you guys all see Anthony? Who in here, raise your hand in the comments if you know Anthony. Anthony, say something, because they may not know your face, but they definitely know your voice.
Well, you're not going to believe this. It's Anthony Court from TikTok. Yeah, and I talk in a very loud, annoying voice. They probably know it now.
Anthony's got like the perfect radio voice.
No,
and,
he sounds...
and the radio face.
Oh, that's not very nice at all.
That's not a lie.
I've always told him he sounds exactly like, what's his face? Will Arnett. He's like Lego
Will
Batman.
Arnett.
I could totally see that.
Will
Lego
Arnett, yeah.
Batman.
When I'm going to go in my rants, yeah, she's not wrong. I've gotten that. I look like Gary Owen, but sound like Will Arnett. Yeah, I've gotten that.
Love it. Love it. So, folks, in case you haven't noticed, we have a guest. Anthony Court is with us tonight, and I'm super excited to have him here. So, Anthony, myself, Nam, and SK, we do a lot of collaboration over on TikTok, and we're going to start bringing up some of our friends because it's fun. But because Anthony is taking the spot on the screen where our logo normally goes, he's now our logo. So Anthony gets to be our logo tonight. And I think this is going to be a staple. Anyone that's going to join us, except maybe Lisa, because I don't know if she's going to want to be our logo. But future guest, you get to be the logo. That's just kind of the way it goes. Folks, we've got a banger of a show for you tonight. And before we jump into this, did you guys see what I titled this? Did you guys see it?
You know, you ask that every time.
Because it's important.
And every time I say no.
It's important. Of course, SK didn't, because she rolled in here like 7 minutes before we start, ready to go. It's important.
Can I make a joke, PatriotDad? Well, as long as it was when I used to go live with, this Mom Says, I was in there live every single night, and I didn't know the title of the TikTok live was Gays for Trump.
Oh, all right.
And
That's
I was
not
like,
the title of this one.
No. But I just thought it was so funny because I was always in there, and I'm like, probably all my followers are questioning it.
That's funny.
Definitely not
maybe
true.
maybe we do need to clarify that, because as Karine Jean-Pierre runs around, she cannot start an interview without making sure everybody also understands that she is a Black woman and she's queer. Every single one. So maybe we do need to lay that out to begin with.
So you guys ask why.
We are.
You guys ask why I tell you the name of the podcast tonight. That's why. It's because I want to make sure we all know that we're talking about something specific. Tonight, we're talking about the crazies have taken over the Democrat Party. The absolute insane lunatics have taken over. Guys, there is an unholy alliance that is starting to merge on the left. And I don't know if you've been paying close enough attention to this, but it's starting to emerge. You've got the radical Islamo-fascist communists. You've got the socialist, the communist. You've got some of the rhino Republicans, like, the Governor Cox and the people that are doing all the weird, crazy stuff with censorship and all of that stuff that we're going to get back into at some point. And then you've got these Democrats that are just literally holding on for dear life, looking at their polling numbers and trying to figure out how do we keep our seats? And it seems like the only way that they figured out how to, or at least think that they can keep their seats, is if they submit to the lunatics in their party. Absolute lunacy. Did you guys know that there are 9 avowed self-identified socialists already in the House of Representatives in the Democrat Party? 9.
Yep. Well, we call them the squad.
That's true. But what's worse is there's also another 7 up for re-election right now, or up for seats running in primaries across the country at the national level and at the state level. There's socialists and communists and Islamo-fascists all over the place. And we're going to talk about a few of them tonight.
Good.
They're everywhere.
Well, do we need to bring back, and I know it was controversial and challenged, but the Communist Control Act of 1954? right? I mean, we need to start flirting with that whole idea if that's becoming the common thing.
I thought it was against the law to be a communist in the United States.
Well, this
Yeah,
may
that's
be
exactly
why
the
they
law.
refer to
That's during
themselves as socialists.
Yeah, Eisenhower signed it into law, but it's been challenged. I mean, since its implementation. But
You know, so I asked Grok before we started. I said, Grok, can you tell me how many communists and socialists are currently holding office in the Democrat Party or as an independent or are running in the 2025 or 2026 election cycle? 0 of them actually refer to themselves as communists. They all refer to themselves as socialists for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but they outright talk about seizing private property.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So the first one up, have you guys heard about this lunatic out in Maine? This guy by the name of Graham Platner. Has anyone ever heard of Graham Platner? Do you know who Graham Platner is?
I heard he's a super nice guy and he definitely doesn't have any offensive tattoos.
Oh, Graham
Right.
Platner.
Right. And
Graham
he's
Platner.
definitely not a Nazi. Definitely not.
You guys are
oh, we
stealing
could
the
actually say
thunder.
Nazi on here. That's crazy.
You can say Nazi
Yes.
on here for now anyway.
For
We'll
now.
see. But you guys are getting ahead of me. So Graham Platner, for those of you guys that don't know, is running for the Democrat primary in the state of Maine to challenge Susan Collins for the Senate seat. Like, this isn't just some like dog catcher position. Like, this guy wants to be a United States senator. So he's a former veteran. Well, he's a veteran, served in the army, I think in Iraq, served a couple tours in Iraq. No, what are you shaking your head for?
Well, I mean, it is Army. I mean,
At one
I can see
point,
that happening.
at one point, very recently, Graham Platner was leading the Democrat primary ticket by almost 30 points. Almost 30 points. But nobody outside of the state of Maine had really heard of this guy, at least on the grand national scale. This guy is super scary, and we're going to spend some time diving into him. So, if you haven't been paying attention, the left is moving as fast as they can to try to steal from MAGA this idea of being a populist movement. Have you guys caught on to that? Have you guys seen it?
Yes.
Why are they trying to become populist? I thought they hated populism.
It's called pluralism. They don't like populism. It's called pluralism. The new pluralists. George Soros and, Koch got together and started a whole new thing.
What the heck is the difference between a pluralist and a populist?
The language. It's more attractive because when you bash populism for so long in all countries across the world, you kind of have to change up your language, and that's what they did. They call it the new pluralists.
Pluralism, it sounds more inclusive, right? They want everything to be inclusive sounding, right?
That's right.
So
That's right.
how is a populist not inclusive? I mean, that basically means the population, the popular,
Well,
like
they don't
people.
like populism. They only like democracy, and the pluralism is their flavor of democracy.
So I'm guessing that this concept of pluralism is really just like the island of misfit kids, all the weirdos, right? All the outcasts, all the the people that can't figure out who they are any given day.
It's the never Trumpers. It's the anti-authoritarian. We actually are the right flavor of democracy group.
Well, do they know what socialism requires? Authoritarianism.
No, they absolutely know what it requires. They're just
Okay.
hoping desperately that the people who vote for them don't.
And they're hoping that they get to be the ones that are the authoritarian, and they're gonna, walk all over us that supported Donald Trump.
That's right.
Yes.
So-
because communism and socialism is not for them, it's for us.
That's right. That's right. So Graham Platner, I'm going to introduce you guys to Graham Platner besides just a couple of videos that you may have seen around social media. And the one thing that is jumps off the page, the left is doing everything they can to try to find the most articulate radicals that are willing to lie straight to your face that they can possibly find. And that is exactly who Graham Platner is. So here's a quick video of Graham Platner introducing himself.
Again. We have to show young people that politics is not about congressmen and senators. It's not about TV ads and races. Politics is about building power with your neighbors. Politics is about protecting your community. Politics is about being friends with people who you do not agree with. That is politics. That is real politics.
So that's just a quick introduction into Graham Platner. When you guys hear him say that, what jumps off the page at you? Because when I hear that, my first question is building power with your neighbors. What the hell do you mean by that?
Well, it sounds to me like it's sort of coalition building is what he's trying to say. But I mean, you can say that all you want, right? You can say, listen, we're trying to build a coalition. We're trying to build a movement with our neighbors and, the local communities where we, kind of where we want to start and we want to grow out from there, which makes total sense. But then he went on to say that politics is being friends with people you disagree with. Is there anybody on the left that actually wants to be friends with people they disagree with right now? Like at all?
What does this sound like? This is language directly from the UN, globalism, disagree better, dignity index. Come on, guys, civil society.
Well, it sounds like Klaus Schwab rhetoric.
Global
World Economic Forum. Yeah.
All right. So let me start to introduce you to the real Graham Platner, because if you actually go out and find some of his canned speeches and the audio and the video that his campaign is putting out that the radical left wants you to see, he sounds like a very reasonable person. I mean, they lead with his military service. He's very articulate. And there's a bunch of videos in our Dropbox that we may not get to, but if I were to sit down, maybe not me, because I pay attention to this stuff, but if the average person were to sit down in a room, a Meet the Candidate event, and they listen to Graham Platner, they'd probably be like, yeah, I like what he has to say, because the guy has a silver tongue in the way he communicates. And we're starting to see that come across with the Democrat Party. SK, you're going to say something?
I was just thinking that we know how that works out. We've been down that road once before, and it's not a good idea, guys.
It's not a good idea. So there have been some incredible investigators that have started the process of investigating this guy, Graham Platner. And it actually started before the dust up last weekend. So I'm going to take you guys through some material that I found doing some research on him today, just to start giving you a flavor of who Graham Platner is. I'm convinced that this guy is actually a terrorist, and I don't use that term lightly. I'm absolutely convinced that the organizations he's associated with are terrorist organizations. And I'll prove it to you. First one I want to take a look at. So here is a Daily Wire headline that was put out just a few days ago. It says, Maine Dem Graham Platner belongs to the socialist group linked to ICE attack and the Tesla bombings. What is that? Well, apparently Graham Platner is one of these ex-military people who, when he gets out of the military, decided that he wanted to start working with Antifa organizations and training them as a paramilitary group.
Yeah. I mean, we spent, I don't know, entire shows talking about this stuff. The Armed Queer, Salt Lake City, the Socialist Rifle Association, the John Brown Rifle Club, all of those things. And so are you telling me, so when we were talking about, veterans that are, that are starting to work with those groups, you were talking about Graham Platner.
I was talking about Graham Platner. Graham Platner is one of the vets who have decided they wanted to throw their lot in with what is now a designated domestic terrorist organization, the Socialist Rifle Club. So who's the Socialist Rifle Club? Does anybody remember? Anthony, do you know who the Socialist Rifle Club is?
Can I just say that one?
Oh. No. Why don't you fill me in on it? I may have heard of it, but fill me in, PatriotDad.
Go ahead, SK.
I was just gonna say, am I the only one that just laughs when I hear Socialist Rifle Club? Like, how more contradictory can you be?
Well, if you're trying to,
it's not the assault rifle. They can't have assault rifles, right? Because
but they can, because that's how the people were shot at the Salt Lake City No Kings protest.
Well, it is also
if you're going to orchestrate a violent overthrow of the United States government, which they have been articulating for years, you kind of need people that know how to use arms, because you're not going to do it with they're not going to be able to live action role play themselves into defeating the U.S. government.
You mean they're not going to use flagpoles, and bear spray to overthrow an entire government?
The styrofoam or umbrellas.
Shields, the styrofoam shields and cardboard swords is not going to get it done.
Oh, my favorite was the trash can shields. Remember
That's
that?
right.
Mm-hmm. Was it the BLM? Was it the BLM protest at the?
That's right.
Which college it was.
All right, so I found a Substack channel by a
Marine.
guy.
I thought you said he was Army.
For some reason, it says ex-Marine, but I'm pretty sure he's Army. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, I found a Substack channel from a guy on X. The channel, if you guys want to follow this, because he's got some really good material on there. It's called the Robinson Report. So if anyone is subscribed to Substack, go check out the Robinson Report. This guy's been doing some incredible reporting on here. And one of the things that he's been reporting on is the activities of Graham Platner teaching and training a socialist paramilitary group in Maine, the Socialist Rifle Club. And here you can see photos.
It's the Rifle Association because they're narrative warfare and they're trying to steal from the National Rifle Association. So now they're the Socialist Rifle Association, SRA.
Oh, yeah. And he actually, and if you go look through the Reddit channels, he talks about how they are directly challenging and think that they're going to be able to defeat the NRA as the largest gun group in the country. Like, that's how crazy these people are.
Okay. You know what the difference between the NRA and the SRA will be, though? Nobody from the NRA is actually involved in terrorist attacks.
Amen to that.
Amen to one actually has skill.
All right. So here's another one. So here's another snapshot from the Robinson Report. And it shows somebody that looks an awful lot like Graham Platner training radicals. And in one of the pictures that I saw, and I didn't grab it, he's actually helping somebody, a man wearing a pink tutu, fire. He's teaching him how to fire. He's standing right next to him with his arms around him, helping him aim his firearm. And the subject of his training is wearing a pink tutu.
I feel safer already.
You feel safe?
Hey, listen, everybody has the same access to the Second Amendment that we do. There's no question about that. The problem is when you cross the line and you actually do terrorist shit with your training as a Socialist Rifle Association member.
Well, you're right. And what's really concerning is that this Socialist Rifle Association, or whatever the hell it's called, is the exact same organization that the John Brown Gun Club down in Alvarado, Texas is a part of. Do you guys remember when we were talking about Ermiya Fanaeian and the Armed Queers SLC, how they were directly connected to an organization that led on July 4th of this year an armed assault against an ICE facility? Well, guess what? Graham Platner, Democrat candidate for the primary for the Senate seat in the state of Maine, was involved in training socialists to do exactly that kind of work. Now, I haven't been able to find any evidence that he was directly involved in training the particular people who did that, but nonetheless, he's involved in the exact same networks, training them.
Yep.
I mean, hello. Remember earlier when I said that I'm pretty convinced that this guy is an actual terrorist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much else to say on that. I mean, yeah.
Can we just recognize for 1 minute that these people are so hypocritical? I cannot get over the amount of hypocrisy in the Democrat Party when they point to people like Pete Hegseth and try to make something completely innocent into some sort of Nazi thing. And then there's an actual Nazi thing. And they're like, oh, but it's okay. Bernie Sanders is even like, hey, people make mistakes. I fully still endorse the guy.
Oh, yeah.
And they're talking about unseating Susan Collins, who's not a Trump supporter at all.
Well, it's because they're trying to
she's been pretty much against Trump almost every step of the way.
Yeah. Total
except for like some deregulationary efforts. But I've spent the last few minutes looking up this guy that you've been talking about. And apparently he responded to a thread called I Got Older and Became a Communist. Did you hear about that one?
No, I didn't see that, but I probably ran out of time. Tell me about his I got older and became a communist.
Well, I guess he here, I just had it pulled out. Let me go back to it. But in 2021, according to CNN, Platner responded to a thread about people becoming more conservative as they get older by writing, I got older and became a communist. And then he said Friday that he's not a communist and instead sees himself. So it's just calling out some things he's responded to.
Hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that his campaign manager quit?
Shocker. I'll show you why.
Was the campaign manager Jewish? So there. Listen, I want to touch on something real quick about that. You know, I became older and I became a communist. So there are a lot of people who join the military with no real plan and no success at learning a skill that is marketable for when they get out. Okay. So you don't become a communist if you have successful marketable skills. You don't. You become a communist. You become a communist when you have no skills and you can't actually compete in the capitalist market. So then you demand everybody gives you the shit that you think that you are entitled to, which I'm going to make a wild guess and say that Graham Platner didn't actually learn anything marketable in his time in the Army. Well, that's just a guess.
He did learn this. He learned how to be a recruiter. So apparently, as part of his activity on the Reddit channels for this Socialist Rifle Club, he not only was he training these people, but he was a recruiter for Antifa. Yeah, he's a recruiter. Yeah. A recruiter. So he learned how to do that. That's I guess that's important if you're going to organize a violent overthrow of the US government.
He went all in with the National Socialist tattoo then, huh?
Yes, as a matter of fact. So what you guys probably know of Graham Platner, not just that he has for years been affiliated with Antifa and with the Socialist Rifle Club, which is again connected to organizations that have conducted violent assaults on federal facilities. Why is it that these people are all connected to Ermiya Fanaeian? It's the weirdest thing. All of them are connected to Ermiya Fanaeian.
Every single one of them. There's a pipeline, and we'll get there. Make sure you follow because we will get there, I promise. But there's a pipeline. All of their history looks exactly the same.
That's right. All right, so I got to show you guys this. Let's kind of advance the ball here. So the way that he came into the national scene, if you guys have been paying attention, is a video leaked of Graham Platner doing things in a bar that I probably did when I was like 22, maybe. I'm sure I did. I probably don't remember it. But here's a video that you all need to see of Graham Platner at a bar. Notice he's at a bar in his underwear.
Why is he in his skivvies?
He's in his underwear. Oh, wait, what's that? Hold on. Wait, whoa. Do you see that? Hold on a second. Hold on. We're going to play this again real quick. It's quick, so just bear with me. First of all, can we talk about the fact that Graham Platner is at a bar in his underwear?
That's presidential, PatriotDad, to the left right there. That's presidential material.
Nam, when you guys were over in Australia or Okinawa or anywhere, did you guys do that kind of stuff?
We kept our clothes on, at least.
I don't think that. Hey, I'm gonna venture to say that's not a straight bar.
Well, I don't know. Let's take another look. Here's Graham Platner in his underwear at a bar.
No, I mean, it looked somewhat fancy people there. But
wait, what is that?
I want to talk about how old is this guy in this video? Because
he's got to be our age.
Dad and I just turned 48. We just turned 48 on Saturday.
He has to be in his 40s.
PatriotDad and I just turned 48 on Saturday, and I don't know what's up with that dude. He's very squishy and very soft. What is going on?
He's a socialist, you guys.
No, he's not just.
That guy was a Marine. He was in the Marines of the Army. This is it's an important distinction now.
It is a very important distinction. We do have to solve this.
All right, but so this guy is not just a socialist. All right, so let's spend a second talking about the actual controversy here. So here's Graham Platner dancing in his underwear in a bar, serenading somebody, and some enterprising journalists decided to pause it and take a look to see, wait a minute, this guy's got tattoos. I wonder what these tattoos are. And son of a gun, they figured it out. These tattoos are not just normal tattoos, folks. This is not just a tattoo that you walk into any tattoo parlor and get. It's this thing right here. Do you see it down here? This skull and crossbone, this very specific skull and crossbone tattoo. Well, that tattoo has a very, very specific meaning. Do you see that? It's the exact same tattoo that if you go back and you look through historical documents from World War II, that Nazis wore on their hat.
Not just any Nazis, though.
Not just any Nazis. That symbol is what's called the Totenkopf. It is the symbol that was used by the administrators of the concentration camps and the death squads.
The SS.
The SS.
Right. We don't see a Valenti video coming out about that, do we? Right?
No.
He loves to make the comparison to Nazis, but when he has an actual Nazi symbol, you don't see anything from the leftists.
They all do. And remember, right around the same time that they were pointing out Pete Hegseth's cross tattoo, Carter had his funeral, and his casket was literally right on top of a pattern in the floor that was the exact same as the tattoo that Pete Hegseth has, and they were calling him a Nazi. But this guy has an actual Nazi tattoo, and they're like, yeah, it's no big deal. I mean,
you mean that one?
Mistakes. That
one.
That's
what's called the Jerusalem cross, or otherwise known as Dulce Vault, which means God's will. And you guys may remember this, but when Pete Hegseth was put up for confirmation for Secretary of War, the left lost their ever-loving minds, and they wanted to try to convince you that this symbol right here on Pete Hegseth's chest is a symbol of white supremacy, when in fact it is a Jerusalem cross. But at the same time, they seem now to be perfectly okay with the possibility that one of their leading candidates for Senate in the state of Maine has a tattoo on his chest of the administrators of the concentration camps and the death squads in World War II.
Yeah, where they had the actual gas chambers, right? You know, you could tell the difference between an iron cross and what Hegseth has on his chest. And guys, I just want to say a lot of people in the comment section are saying happy birthday. Just so
thanks.
Like like a million people said happy birthday to you guys, and so am I right
now. At our age, birthdays are like, honey, I'm gonna go get on the tractor. I'll see you in a couple hours. Like that's it. That's it.
I get to go play golf today, right?
That's right. That's right. So so Graham Platner has responded to the controversy. In case you were wondering, he responded, and his response was not at all satisfying. Not at all. You got to hear what Graham Platner had to say.
Graham Platner here. I want to talk to you about something. In 2007, when I was a young infantry sergeant in the Marine Corps, myself and some machine gunners I served in Fallujah and Ramadi with were on our third deployment. We were in a naval vessel, and we pulled in for a Liberty port in Split, Croatia. We went ashore to do the thing that young Marines do, which tends to be carousing and sometimes getting tattoos. We wanted to get something that represented our jobs, our service, fighting in Fallujah and Ramadi as machine gunners. We went ashore, we found a tattoo parlor after a fair amount of heavy carousing, and we found a tattoo on the wall, a piece of flash that looked like a terrifying skull and crossbones. We thought it looked cool, and so we got it. I have had this tattoo for the last 18 years. I re-enlisted into the United States Army with this tattoo, where I was screened for hate and gang-related tattoos. I worked for the State Department as a contractor.
All right, you get the point. He's trying to justify now having a Nazi. I've got questions. Can I ask my questions real quick?
Yes, please do.
Nam, does that mean that there's a unit of U.S. Marines running around with a Totenkopf tattoo on their chest right now? Is that what that means?
I mean, it sure sounds like that's what that means. But at least the controversy of was this guy a Marine or was the Army, that's solved because he was actually both. Okay. Now that we understand, he was in the Marine Corps and he separated and then he re-enlisted back in the Army. So that
I
makes
have a question.
Fire.
Does anyone know what administration he worked under in the State Department as a contractor?
No,
I mean, it would have to be.
You can find out.
Obama. 2007.
Obama would, seeing his age, it wouldn't be surprising if it was Obama. Yeah.
He said he worked for the State Department as a contractor. That's not shady at all.
Nope. I'm just shocked at the fact that it sounds to me like he is saying that there's an entire unit of Marines running around the country right now that have a tattoo of a symbol of the administrators of death camps on their chest. Did he just throw an entire unit of Marines under the bus? Who are these Marines? I want to find out. I'm not going to try to call them out, but if you're one of the Marines that were on tour with him and you walked into that tattoo parlor in Croatia and you have a Nazi symbol on your chest, I feel like you should speak up.
Hey,
I feel like you should speak up.
We should have PatriotDad going to all the bars with the jarheads and be like, "Hey, pull on your shirt."
I mean, seriously,
I wouldn't recommend doing that.
We gotta have PD doing these inspections now.
I'm not doing that. But I mean, seriously, like this reminds me of John Kerry back in the Swift boat days, where he threw all of his buddies under the bus. It sounds to me like Graham Platner just basically threw an entire unit of Marines under the bus and said that they all have Nazi tattoos on their chest right now.
Yep. Well,
absolute insanity.
Listen, I mean, it is. Marines are called crayon eaters for a reason, right? I mean, that is just a thing, and jarheads and all that stuff. So there's a little bit of me that's like, maybe they didn't know what they were getting. I want to know where they were when they got.
He said Croatia.
Croatia. Okay, so he's in Croatia, and the Totenkopf is an available tattoo that you can get at a tattoo shop in Croatia. Croatia, majority Muslim country. Do we know?
I don't think so.
I don't know the answer to that either. Listen,
that I know of.
That tattoo, hugely problematic, covered over. My concern really is about all the people that don't seem to give a damn about it.
You mean like Bernie Sanders?
It's all of them. It's literally all of them. It's the same people that didn't give a damn about Jay Jones, and they laughed when Charlie was killed. The pattern is super clear, right? About what these people's priorities truly are. And it's not having any principles. That's certainly not a priority.
That's right. So here's Bernie Sanders telling you exactly what Nam is talking about.
Comments about black diners, about rural white people. You said yesterday you are still supporting him. Why?
I'm not overly impressed by a squad of media running around saying, "What do you think about the tattoo on Grand Platner's chest?" Between you and me, there might be one or two more important issues, but I am impressed by the guy. He went into a dark period in his life. But what he did was he expressed his darkness on the internet. The guy that I saw up on the stage in Portland, Maine, rather a brilliant guy. I mean, really a strong fighter for the working class, very articulate, very smart. Maybe we have to do a little bit of forgiveness.
There you go. A little bit of forgiveness, Anthony. A little bit of forgiveness.
Yeah. Forget the swastika. Forget the
it's a Totenkopf.
I'm sorry. Forget the Totenkopf that symbolizes the death camps. A little bit of forgiveness, right? That's all it needs. When every fucking Bernie Sanders supporter I could think of calls anybody that supports Trump a Nazi. Well, we just need a forgiveness, right?
Nam, so over on the comments, and SK, sorry for interrupting, but over on the comments, Mel P says that Croatia is mostly Catholic.
Okay. SK, you go, because I actually have something I want to say about this, but SK, you go first.
Sure. I just looked up what administration he was a security contractor under, but where did he say he was deployed in 2007 when he got that tattoo?
He said Ramadi and somewhere else. Fallujah. I mean, if he was in Fallujah, that's pretty brutal. Yeah.
Okay, so he was only a contractor in 2018 for about 6 months. So it was under the Trump administration, but get this. It was for Blackwater. And that's the Erik Prince, Betsy DeVos's brother's company. And remember, they got blacklisted by the State Department. Also, in 2007, under the Bush administration, Blackwater contractors are the ones that killed 17 Iraqi citizens, including 2 children, and wounded 20 others in Baghdad during a convoy escort. And it sparked global outrage, and they were temporarily blacklisted by the U.S. State Department. It caused human rights issues. The ACLU got in on it. I mean, Chris Murphy talked about it. I mean,
I actually remember that, SK, because I was a big. What year was that in again?
2007 in Iraq.
Right. I actually remember that because I was semi-libertarian at that time, and remember that being a big deal. Yeah.
So one of my issues of many with Bernie Sanders and his, absolute denial that this is a problem is we have to understand. So you're telling me Graham Platner is a socialist, and he's running around with the Nazi SS death camp tattoo, and Bernie doesn't have a problem with it. None of the socialists, because they're all Nazis. The Nazis, well, can I remind you,
were socialists.
The German Socialist Workers Party.
They were
socialists. So, and by the way, just not for nothing, but they also really want to kill Jews. So, I mean,
right. If you just replace the Jews with billionaires, the language.
No, they still want to kill Jews too.
Oh, yeah, no, but I mean,
changed.
The language they use now is they're so anti-billionaire. They throw around the B
Anthony.
word, like,
they don't want to kill billionaires. Billionaires are the ones who are paying for everything that they're doing.
They've got the government shut down so they can give corporate subsidies to health insurance companies. These same people that were cheering for Luigi Mangione are the people that shut down the government because they want to continue the tax credits and all of the money that goes to these health insurance companies from the taxpayers.
I saw some septum ring theory young lady earlier today on TikTok talking about how she wants to kill billionaires. And my initial thought was, do you realize that literally just about everything that you believe in was brought to you by George Soros and his network of billionaires? If it weren't for billionaires, you probably wouldn't be such a freaking idiot. So maybe she's onto something.
If it weren't for billionaires, they wouldn't have these color revolutions in all these countries where they have to do it in order to be able to help these corporations to get better deals and to do more business in these countries. They wouldn't have to do the color revolutions.
Bottom line is the left loves billionaires. They love billionaires. They need them. They rely on them. Sorry, Nom, go ahead.
Yeah, I looked this up during the election last year when they were talking about all the billionaires and the billionaires, and we, take out all the billionaires and tax the rich and all this stuff. The ratio of billionaires that support the Democrat Party versus the Republican Party is 2.5 to 1.
That's right.
2.5 billionaires per Democrat as opposed to 1 for the Republican Party. They love their billionaires. They love them. And by the way, that's the reason you'll never actually tax billionaires, because their donors won't let you.
That's right. All right. So folks, since I am a giving, merciful, loving patriot dad, I decided to help the Graham Platner campaign out, and I knew I have a new campaign logo for him. You guys want to see it? There you go.
The Reich Choice for me.
There you go. Graham Platner, you can use this. I actually didn't make it. I don't know who made it.
The little SS on the forehead is
there. You go. There you go, Graham Platner. Your campaign. Since we are in a free use society, your campaign is welcome to use this. The Reich Choice for Maine. There you go. There you go.
What is up with these gingers? We got the jolly good gingivitis dude, that ginger. We got this guy who's a ginger. What is going on with gingers?
Hey, if you used to be a Marine, you know that redheads are like blondes from hell, right? I mean, it's just it is what it is, right?
All right. So I was going to spend some time talking about Jay Jones, but I think we all know what kind of maniac Jay Jones is, the guy that's running for the Attorney General's office in the state of Virginia, the guy who was caught sending text messages to one of his Republican colleagues, fantasizing about putting 2 bullets in the former speaker of the House of Delegates in Virginia, and then also fantasizing about his kids dying in the arms of their mom. I don't think I need to spend a lot of time on Jay Jones. We were going to talk about Abigail Spanberger also, her racist supporters, just disgusting racism coming out of the Spanberger campaign. But I think we need to move on because we actually have 2 more that we want to talk about.
There is one thing that we need to make perfectly clear about Jay Jones, Abigail Spanberger, because it's all really the same scandal. The scandal there is not that they said those things, because we know they're all shit human beings to begin with. They have to be a Democrat. The scandal is nobody cares. Yeah. All the people that clutch their pearls every freaking day, Trump this, Trump that, Trump is breaking all the norms and Trump's mean. And you guys don't actually care about any of that. It is about hierarchy. And it's always
right.
been about hierarchy, just like it was with old Graham. It's all about hierarchy.
That's right.
That's it.
All right. Next one I got for you. SK, I'm going to put you on the spot here in a minute because SK did some research on this person. This is probably less known, but before we jump in, I want to show you guys a video that I found floating around social media today. I think is a really good introduction to this next lunatic radical. Actually, I have two videos I want to show you. Let me show you this one first, because I'm going to intro the next couple of people that we're going to talk about by showing you what they've been planning for a very, very, very long time.
Through Congress. So before it was by the sword, now it's getting themselves into parliament and then making laws that act as the sword, the Islamophobia law in Canada, M103.
Yeah. Muslim Brotherhood.
I find that there are only two things which are open to our movements. Ballot or bullet, nothing in between.
I used to say that democracy is haram. Now I say participation in democracy is our jihad. That's our jihad. We're going to fight not through the bullets, but the ballot.
Going to the ballot and voting is now an obligatory action, fard ayn. And it is a jihad that is now needs to be done because this is our modern jihad. You can elect a person who wants the Sharia.
Because in the United States, what we do know is that in the past election, just this last election, there have been over 800 Muslim candidates running for office.
We may end up with about 50 members of Congress.
And there
in the
is,
next 6
hold on,
years.
let me pull this back
That's
up.
really the...
Folks, we need to spend some time, some serious time talking about the infiltration of our electoral system by the Islamo-communist, Islamo-fascist, radical Islamics who have been infiltrating from top to bottom our election system. The next one that I want to talk about is a woman in the state of Georgia who is running for the governor's office. She's already an elected official there. I think she's the in the Georgia House of Representatives. Her name is Rua Roman. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Rua Roman, but SK's got a lot of really good information on her. But before we kick it over to SK, I want to show you this video that I found that kind of supports what that last clip was talking about. The radical Islamists have made a decision that it is time for them to start moving into our election system. They are now considering participating in democracy, their latest form of jihad. That's just where we are. That's what they're doing.
Georgia as we come. I'm also the granddaughter of Palestinian refugees. My family lost everything and had to rebuild from nothing.
So this is Rua Roman. She was born in Jordan and has now entered the 2026 race for governor of Georgia. If you live in Georgia, here's what you need to know before you eventually cast a vote. Roman was communications director for CAIR Georgia. Let me tell you a little bit about CAIR. In 2008, the Holy Land Foundation was convicted of sending money to Hamas. During the trial, evidence came out showing CAIR's founders had ties to the same Hamas network. After that, the FBI cut them off. You're like, what does that mean? Well, because after 9/11, FBI treated CAIR as a partner, bringing them into outreach programs with Muslim communities. CAIR denies the allegations. Now, in 2022, when Roman initially ran for state representative, she was endorsed by Working Families Party. WFP works closely with Democrat Socialists of America, DSA. Both are culturally and economically Marxist. WFP is a registered political party. Candidates run on that line. DSA, it's not an actual party. That's kind of like the get out the vote machine. So case in point, Zohran Mamdani, possibly New York City's future mayor, is endorsed by DSA and WFP. Rashida Tlaib, also endorsed by both. So Georgia voters, this is a little bit about the movement behind Roman.
All right. That's where I'm going to kick it over to SK, because that's just a very quick introduction into Rua Roman. This chick is super scary.
Super, super scary. And you guys, she's already in the Georgia House of Representatives, and she's from Gwinnett County, which if you followed anything that happened in 2020, you know about Gwinnett County and the shady stuff that happened in Gwinnett County. But also, again, back to the whole thing about the pipeline and how all of their resumes look exactly the same. This person is like a carbon copy of Ermiya Fanaeian. And not only that, it's the UN. Again, it's all UN stuff. This person went to high school at an international baccalaureate school where they teach the UN development goals. It actually says on the LinkedIn international baccalaureate diploma. The number of organizations, the types of organizations, including being an intern for Mercy Corps, which I looked and found a DOGE report where they had detailed the thousands of contracts that they had canceled. And Mercy Corps was complaining about how they had to cut 2/3 of their budget. That Mercy Corps is mentioned 37 times in that document, and not very many of them are in the red part that were cut. One of them I did see that was cut, they caught, was $50 million to Gaza for positive youth engagement. And we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in USAID funding for all sorts of countries around the world. And she was an intern there. She was a youth ambassador. Does that sound familiar?
Yep, that's exactly what Ermiya Fanaeian was, a youth ambassador.
Yep. And she's the one during the DNC that, remember when there was some controversy because the DNC was considering allowing a Palestinian to speak at the DNC?
Yeah.
And the Democrats ended up saying, no, we're not having this at the DNC. And the lady still showed up and gave the speech outside to the protesters. That's her.
Yeah. And she was super pissed too. She was pissed that they cut her out of the DNC.
She was super pissed. They did a vote swap for Harris, and they were asking people in swing states to trade their vote for non-swing states for 2 votes because they were trying to get less votes for Kamala Harris, but still get her to win and not Donald Trump. They were trying to get people to protest vote.
Folks, I hope you're seeing the picture that we're trying to paint for you here. These are not just extreme edge case examples of people who live on the edge of society. These are people who are working their way through our elected class of representatives, trying to position themselves at the very seats of power that will determine the future of this country. We just talked a little bit about Graham Platner running for Senate in the state of Maine, who is very clearly at least sympathetic to radical Antifa terrorist tactics, trains them, recruited for them, has a Nazi tattoo on his chest, is an avowed socialist, and now we have another one down in Georgia.
Yes. And the organizations that this person is involved with are just as scary as some of the ones of Ermiya Fanaeian, not like necessarily armed queers, but the other organizations like the Asian Americans Advancing Justice, the Asian American Advocacy Fund, the Georgia Muslim Voter Project, funded by the Southern Poverty Law Center and Tides Foundation. And I'm pretty sure that the youth ambassador thing, I haven't verified it, so don't take it for like 100% fact, but I'm pretty sure that where she lists that she was a youth ambassador, it's probably the Georgia Voter Project, Muslim Voter Project, Youth Ambassadors Program. That would be my guess because there's a lot of involvement with that group. I mean, everything about this person it's Ermiya. The pipeline is the same. Every single one of them, the pipeline is the same. The UN's involved, the development goals, the social it even says on the International Baccalaureate schools that they learn social and emotional skills, social and emotional learning. That's the temp driver stuff that we talked about. It's all the same stuff, all the same language. Everything is all the same, funded by the same people. It's all a part of this big group that we'll be telling you about here really soon. I can't wait.
Yeah. Anthony, why do we have these total lunatic radicals taking over the Democrat Party? What the hell is going on?
Well, they've been doing it for a long time, apparently. I mean, they've slowly been working their way into it, and they're giving a softball version look of what's to come. And if you look at countries like the UK and things like that, that's going to be probably be the United States in 10 years or less, unless we start doing something now. Right. I mean, we're going to probably be having these call to prayers interrupting our airwaves, right? I mean, that it could get that bad.
It's already happening. Right? It's already happening.
Yeah, and yeah, in certain states, what was it like? No, was it Michigan? Or I forgot what state it was. I've heard that they're
Minnesota.
In certain towns. Minnesota. I'm sorry, forgive me. I knew it was an M. But yeah, no, it's good to expose this now, and definitely this candidate for governor, Roman, has it stamped on her forehead, literally. This guy, the other guy, had it stamped on his chest. They're having all these radical people run, and if you look at his history and him saying basically he's a soft communist, we need to expose him now. And I think Trump should flirt with the idea of bringing back the Communist Act of 1954, right?
Totally
and really start implementing that, bring it back. And obviously it's going to be challenged, because I think it was challenged when the Communist Party was trying to go on the ballot. There was judges back in the day saying that they couldn't be removed from it, but
that's right.
It was signed into law by Eisenhower. But I mean, this is something that is very important. We need to keep exposing this so that we could stop it in its tracks, or at least slow it down as best as we can.
That's right. So, but I think one of the bigger problems that we have in this current election cycle is that there is one person in particular, Zohran Mamdani, who is sucking all the oxygen out of the room. And I think that's one of the reasons why you're seeing some of these radical socialists elevate themselves in the polling and potentially even going to win an electoral seat either in their state or at the national level, because everybody is focused on Zohran Mamdani. And we're going to spend some time talking about him as well, because the closer we get to the election cycle, the more of an Islamo-fascist Trojan horse this guy appears to be. We've all heard about... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say they all are. Just by the way, they're all Trojan horses.
But this one is Obama's hand-picked one. This one is the guy that Obama has had at his house multiple times over the last couple of months.
We're talking about Mamdani?
Mamdani, yep. Mamdani.
Yeah, so they're Obama hand-picked, but they're State Department handpicked and State Department funded, right? USAID, all the things that we've talked about this entire time, right? This is guys, this is not an accident, like not even close to an accident. This is designed. It's meant to have this exact same impact. And Court's right. You guys heard me tell the story of my buddy that's British. He's been a British expat. He's been here for about 20 years now. 10 years ago, he was telling me the same thing. He's like, listen, UK's done. You're never going to get it back. And the United States is about 10, 15 years behind them. That's just a fact.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to have to do something about this. So let's kind of walk through some of the things we already know about Mamdani. And then I want to talk about some things that have developed over the last couple of weeks. So we already know Mamdani is on the record over the last several years demanding defunding of police. We know about his socialist plans. I don't know if you guys have seen this clip before, but I'm going to play it, because I don't think it could be any more clear exactly who this guy is and what he's planning to do with New York City, and ultimately an agenda that they fully intend to implement across the entire state of New York and then across the entire country. This is Mamdani telling you who he is.
Lonely and isolating experience. I'm very lucky in that I have 5 other DSA endorsed comrades who are with me in the Assembly and in the State Senate. We have to continue to elect more socialists. We have to ensure that we are unapologetic about our socialism. But I sincerely believe in this political project. I sincerely believe in socialism, power, this journey and understanding that it is socialism that we are fighting for this moment right now, right? If we're talking about the cancellation of student debt, if we're talking about Medicare for all, these are issues which have the groundswell of popular support across this country. But then there are also other issues that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right? Or whether it is the end goal of seizing the means of production.
Wait, what? Did you guys hear that? What did he say at the end there?
The end goal of seizing the means of production.
Seizing the means of production.
Because you guys, when you hear them say socialism, you have to remember it's actually like communism light, because the next step is communism. And think about how quickly Venezuela went after they elected a socialist.
Super
right,
fast.
and he's already talked about publicly owned grocery stores. I mean, he's already. I mean, this is going to be like Soviet Union 2.0, if not even worse than that. I mean, that's just insane to hear him say that. That's complete Marxist language, like 101.
I mean, it's communism. It is flat out communism. But here's my question for Zohran Mamdani and the rest of the communists out there. You think we're just going to sit by and let you seize the means of production in this country? Do you think that we're just going to like hand it over to you? I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but does this group of folks here, there's 4 of us and about 78 million more of us out. Do you think we're just going to like sit around and let you seize the means of our production?
Take my company from me, please. Please, it's yours for the taking over my dead fucking body, actually.
Cold, dead hands. Cold, dead hands.
It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. You may experiment with this in New York City, and it's going to fail miserably. And I feel so bad for the people of New York City. They are going to, I know, no, I'm with you. There's a part of me that's like, yeah, well, you asked for it. That's what you get. But nonetheless, these are people. These are people who unfortunately have been so indoctrinated into these lies and this filth of authoritarian propaganda that they don't even know better. They don't know that socialist grocery stores have been tried in multiple different places around the country just in the last 10 years. And do you want to know how many of them are still surviving? None.
0.
There's this crazy thing that happens when you seize the means of production and you put it under control of the government, which is the most inefficient organization on the planet. They stop being able to deliver products and service to people for a price that they promise. Instead, what happens is you go to these grocery stores and you got rotten food, or prices are going up,
or empty shelves.
Don't you want to stand in the bread line? Doesn't everybody want to stand in a bread line?
This is not an academic exercise, people. We've tried it locally in many places across this country. They have tried socialized grocery stores, and they literally fail within months. Within months.
Yeah, and it's not like comparing it to, I would say, a employee-ran store like Winco. This is the government implementing price controls, and as he said in his last statement in that last video you played, he wants to seize the means of production, and that's eventually one of his end goals. So,
well, you're not seizing shit from us. I'll tell you that right now.
Or maybe it's better that it's happening at a state level, a city level, so they could. Who are they going to blame? Are they going to blame the surrounding counties? Because it seems like all the communists that I know blame capitalism for their failure.
Well, they're going to blame the billionaires that didn't want to pay more taxes. That's why it fled the state. It's going to be their fault.
New York City.
Did you guys see that video of them chanting "tax the rich" at that rally?
I mean, they already tax the rich.
Yeah.
The rich are the only ones who pay taxes, for goodness sake. We know that. We know that the top 10% of earners in this country pay almost 95% of all tax revenue. Almost 95% of it. We all know that, right?
Folks, do you know why rich people stay rich? It's because they know how money works. They know how their money works. And they are not going to stick around in a system where they are the target. I use this explanation a lot. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I use this explanation a lot when I'm talking about economics with people. Money is a lot like water. It is always going to flow on the path of least resistance and where it can be used most efficiently. Always. No matter what systems you try to put in place to stop that from happening, it's going to happen. You can't stop that. You cannot stop people who know how to make money from taking their money and figuring out how to make more of it. You can't stop them from that.
Well, let me touch on that just a little bit. A lot of I know some hedge fund managers. I know some owners of a lot of businesses. You know where they end up moving?
Florida,
where they're taxed the least. A lot of them live in Puerto Rico.
Right?
And I know it's a U.S. territory, but a lot of businesses, a lot of hedge fund managers live in Puerto Rico, although that's where they say they live. Right. So, I mean, they exit the system and go where they need to go. Right. So that's how they react to it.
Where is Wall Street going to move if this guy gets elected?
Well, you know what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. This is what socialists do when they come into power. He's immediately going to come into office if he wins, and he's probably going to win, and New York is going to suffer for it as a result. He's immediately going to come into power, and the first thing he's going to do is he's going to go to Wall Street, and he's going to go to some of these big corporations and these billionaires, and he's going to cut deals with them. He's going to tell them, I can't afford for you to leave, so I will give you specific carve-outs so that you stay. So he's going to lionize and demonize billionaires on the way into office, and then he's going to cut deals with those exact billionaires in order for his agenda to even have a fighting chance to get off the ground. Watch, within the first couple of months of his administration, he will be in Wall Street cutting deals with those people to get them to stay. Guarantee it. I guarantee it. It'll happen. That's what every socialist and communist has to do.
I hope they leave. I hope every single one of them leave. I hope they move Wall Street to Texas or Kansas or somewhere in the middle of the country.
That's right.
The New York Stock Exchange in Dallas.
That's right. All right. So
the Dallas Stock Exchange.
Look, so the problem with Zohran Mamdani, though, is not just that he's a avowed socialist, avowed communist. It's that he's an Islamo-fascist as well. And there is no doubt about it. He is the original, at least in this generation, the original Trojan horse. No, sorry. He is a copy of the original Trojan horse. Barack Obama was the first. Zohran Mamdani is now the second Trojan horse that is bringing Islamofascism to the country. And it doesn't just start with him. It goes all the way back to his dad. I don't know if you guys have done any research into who his dad is, but this guy is a freaking lunatic. Here's a quick clip of his dad talking about how the United States is the biggest evil in the world. This is where he gets it from.
Is the genesis of what we call settler colonialism. And the American model was exported all around the world. Abraham Lincoln generalized the solution of reservations. They herded American Indians into separate territories. For the Nazis, this was the inspiration. Hitler realized two things. One, that genocide was doable. It is possible to do genocide. That's what Hitler realized. Second thing Hitler realized is that you don't have to have a common citizenship. You can differentiate between people. The Nuremberg laws were patterned after American laws.
Right,
anyway, the U.S. put Indians in reservations.
I can't take any more of this guy. Sorry. Just disgusting. So here's Zohran Mamdani's dad trying to make the case that Adolf Hitler learned genocide from the United States.
I'm sorry. How many genocides have happened in the Middle East just in, like, I don't know, the last 1,000 years? Like
all of them.
Like never-ending genocides. Never ending.
Stop it. They're super peaceful people.
You could say Genghis Khan. Yeah, I mean, you could say a lot of genocides before that. But no, Abraham Lincoln? Like, what the
Did you guys see the excerpt from his dad's book?
I have that. Let's pull that up. I didn't plan to put this in here, but since you put it in the Dropbox, let's pull it up and we'll take a quick look at it. Here's an excerpt from his dad's book. So we'll just read the highlighted sections. It says, we need to recognize the suicide bomber first and foremost as a category of soldier. Suicide bombing needs to be understood as a feature of modern political violence rather than stigmatized as a mark of barbarism.
Yes.
The father of Zohran Mamdani. The father of Zohran Mamdani.
Yes, and that was in 2004. That was in 2004. So 2001, you have 9/11. This guy is a professor of anthropology, political science, and African studies at Columbia University. And he wrote that book in 2004. It's called Good Muslim, Bad Muslim, America, the Cold War, and the Roots of Terror.
Well, now we know what Zohran Mamdani is talking about when he says this.
We came here to remake this state in the image of our people. We came here to remake this state in the image of our people. We came here to remake this state in the image of our people.
So
who's his people?
Does he mean the suicide bomber?
Well, he means
maybe he means the suicide bomber, right?
Well, yeah. We came. But we hear this all over the place. You hear Ilhan Omar. I mean, they're all saying this exact same thing. That, I mean, they know what's coming unless we figure out how to put a stop to it. And what's coming is Sharia law, and that's where we are. That's what will happen.
This is
Our
the
kids
reason
will be
why
living under Sharia if we're not.
This is the thing I don't understand: how you can have the left, the Democrat Party, who has always been champions of civil rights, of equality, LGBT rights, women's rights, are aligned now with Islamofascists who we've already seen this. SK, go ahead. I'll let you take this over.
I was going to say, I know how, because this is the playbook. This is what they do in all the other countries. You get the teachers' unions, you get as many of the workers' unions as you possibly can to get on board with your cause, and you push these things on the kids. You teach them that this is right. You gather all of the minority groups together in one group, and then you have your uprising. They're doing the exact same thing here in the United States that they've done all over the world. You have the fired USAID employees and other employees from the federal government that have created entire organizations, and they have been all gotten together in this huge movement with tons and tons and tons of money behind it to be able to push this in the United States. They talk about the backsliding of democracy in the United States. They use all the same language that they do before you see a regime change in places like Ukraine. And you had Tim Shriver just talking the other day about the dignity index and all of those things. And he calls it a dignity revolution. You want to know what the other name for the Euromaidan in Ukraine is? It's the dignity revolution.
Unbelievable. Real quick. So Angie Brunty over on X asked to give her a shout out to let her know that we're getting her messages. I see your messages, Angie. I can see them. So there's your shout out. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but what you're seeing play out here right now in this unholy alliance between the Islamofascist, the left, the Democrat Party, is the exact same strategy that the Ayatollah Khamenei used in Iran when he seized power during the Iranian Revolution. The exact same strategy. The only reason why he was able to seize power is because he convinced the unions, the women's groups, the socialists, the communists to join him. And then he crushed them immediately, put the women in burqas, wouldn't allow them to go to school anymore. I mean, you've seen the pictures, you've seen the images of what it looked like in Iran prior to and after the Iranian Revolution. And what you see now in Iran is the exact result of the strategy that's being used today. And the left.
Oh, it did the same thing. Mao did the same thing. I mean, it was the same result at the end of it. Pull those coalitions together and then just destroy them.
Yep. All right, we got to keep going here because I got more on Mamdani. But so we could keep talking about his record. We could keep talking about all the things that he said and the stupid things that he's done and the things that he believes in. Did you guys see AOC this weekend? Did you guys see the clip of AOC? Oh, I have to show it. Anthony, I don't know if you saw this or not. It is worth it. So I actually have two clips of AOC, and I want to pull them both up because I think they're both worth talking about. So here's the first one of AOC.
We are not the crazy ones, New York City. We are not the outlandish ones, New York City. They want us to think we are crazy. We are sane.
I'm sorry. If you have to stand on stage and tell people that you're not crazy, it's a pretty good indication that people think you're crazy.
100%. I always joke around when I say, I promise I'm not crazy. And then I say, that's exactly what somebody that's crazy would say, but I promise.
We got to remake that video with her in a straitjacket. Like,
yes,
we're not crazy.
Hey,
and a sombrero.
For those of you over on X, I know you're listening right now. Before this webcast or this podcast, I say webcast, before this podcast is over tonight, I want to see a video of AOC standing on stage saying we're not crazy in a straitjacket and a sombrero on her head. Make it happen. Make it happen. All right, here's the next clip of AOC. This one. Oh man, this one. All right, here we go.
Was built by the Irish escaping famine, Italians fleeing fascism, Jews escaping Holocaust, Black Americans fleeing slavery and Jim Crow, Latinos seeking a better life, Native people standing for themselves, Asian Americans coming together in Queens, in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Manhattan.
Why do they yell and screech like that all the time?
That was almost hard to watch.
Oh, when she's talking to, depending on what crowd she's talking to, it's what AOC you get. I feel like when she does this sort of sermon preacher type thing, it's usually when she's in her own district talking to people that are more predominantly of color, things like that. So I noticed this cadence that she's been doing. She's really been trying to put this preacher type cadence out, and it's really fucking annoying, man.
It's called context switching. It's context switching.
Yeah.
It's picking up whatever dialect or whatever sort of whoever you're talking to. I mean, Kamala Harris does it. We've seen Hillary Clinton. I ain't no ways tired.
Like she thinks she's Martin Luther King Jr. Like she needs to talk like that. Like escape to slavery. Anyway, what is next? She can she can fucking dress up like the colonel, like an old school fucking pastor. Get up on stage and start. Let
me ask you guys a question: is someone who gets on stage and rants and screams and screeches like that, is that presidential material?
No. Ask what's his name.
SK, would you vote for a woman that sounds like that, screaming from the stage?
No, I think for me to vote for a woman to be president of the United States, it would have to be someone super special. Because
just the ones we've been presented have been god awful. I mean, the Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris. That's the best the left could come up with.
When Kamala Harris was running for office, I watched Hillary Clinton's speech at the DNC wearing that white pantsuit. And I was like, why do I have like nostalgia and wish that Hillary Clinton was running for office right now? Why would I feel more comfortable with Hillary Clinton than Kamala Harris? That's how bad that was.
That's right.
I can't stand that woman.
That is right. All right. We're going to move on because I got more on the Trojan horse, Islamofascist, communist Zohran Mamdani. But first, I have a question for you guys. Who in here, raise your hands if in the comments. I want to see you guys raise your hands over on Rumble and over on YouTube. Raise your hands if you know what this word means. Takia.
Oh, takia. Oh, yeah.
Takia. Who knows what takia means? Raise your hand. Quickly, raise your hand. Come on. Hurry up. Raise your hand. If you know the word takia, what you think it means. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. Takia is a concept in Islamic theology primarily associated with Shia Islam. Though it is also recognized in some Sunni contexts, it refers to the practice of concealing or dissimulating one's true beliefs or identity. It's authorized lying.
Yeah.
Is what takia is.
Sounds like the entire Democrat Party.
It's authorized lying. So
that's straight up cult behavior right there.
That's right.
Like lying about the cause, the bad parts of the cause just to get new candidates, right?
That's right. Now, with that backdrop, I will present you with probably the biggest political gaffe, probably in American history. Zohran Mamdani doing the last thing that any political candidate ever wants to do and talk poorly about 9/11. And here he is doing this
moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City. I want to speak to the memory of my aunt. Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Is anyone buying it? Anthony, are you buying it? Those crocodile tears for his auntie who stopped taking the subway because of her hijab. Are you buying it?
I think he's watching too much Chris Valenti, man. The fake, the crocodile tears, definitely. Yeah, no.
So I think we need to put this in context real quick.
I have a question before you do that.
Yeah.
I know where you're going. How many other people stop taking the subway because they're afraid of getting killed?
A lot. Or
a lot of them.
I don't know. Stop taking the subway because they're afraid of having a building fall on them.
Or how about stopping with the crocodile tears and the feel sorry for my mom because she was afraid to wear a hijab, and think about the people that were like vaporized in those buildings?
No, SK. What he needs you to understand is that Muslims were the real victims in the post 9/11 fallout. Muslims were the victims.
Have we noticed that everyone in the Democrat Party is a victim? Like that's the whole catch. Like I don't think you can be a Democrat without being a victim.
Well, it's a requirement.
It is so important for you to recognize that Muslims are the victims, that he created an entirely fictional Muslim. Because here's the thing. Some enterprising journalists decided that they were going to go do the job that the legacy media should do, but refuses to do. And they started researching and saying, he's got an auntie. Maybe we should go figure out who his auntie is. So they did. So actually, Zohran Mamdani only has 2 aunts that we know of that come from his dad's side. One of them is named, I want to get this right to make sure I get it right, Anis Mamdani, who lives in Uganda and is really only known through family genealogy. That's it. There's no information about her. The other one is a woman named Masuma Mamdani. Masuma Mamdani. Now, she's a little bit more well-known because she's an actual real person. She's a public health consultant with a master's degree from the University of California in Los Angeles. There's just a problem, folks. Masuma Mamdani, his only actual aunt that we know of, doesn't appear to have lived anywhere near New York City anytime before, during, or after 9/11. As a matter of fact, when 9/11 happened, she was a senior program development officer in Tanzania.
Bro, UNFPA. It's the same stuff over and over and over again. This is the operation right here.
And I don't see a hijab in that picture.
No,
you
no
don't,
hijab.
which is really
Yeah.
weird because
Yeah.
we couldn't find any pictures of her with an actual hijab on. As a matter of fact, all the pictures that we found of her, she's not wearing a hijab. That's just really, really, really strange, isn't it? That his auntie, who was afraid to wear her hijab on the subway because of fake, lying Islamophobia, seems to be photographed all the time.
Oh, I'm
without a
about to
hijab.
find out who
That
those.
sounds like it's haram, according to Zohran, right? It's probably haram.
It's haram. So I do actually have some breaking news, and I hope that I was able to put this in here before we started. If I didn't, I need to. Oh, yes, I have it. I have it. So there's some breaking news because the media has finally started asking him about this fake aunt that he said was the actual victim of 9/11. And now he's changing his story. Did you guys see this? Now he's saying it wasn't his aunt who was a victim of Islamophobia after 9/11. It was his father's cousin. It wasn't his aunt. It was a different person that was a victim of Islamophobia.
How much you want to bet you could probably find out that the cousin, he doesn't have a cousin that's a female. It's probably not even.
So if you read down into that story, in Uganda, apparently, it's normal to call, female and male, like friends of the family, auntie and uncle, and that's where he's going with this. He actually did name a woman, and I don't have the article in front of me. It's like Zura something or other, and now he's saying that, but she's dead, and you can't ask her about it. So sorry, she died a couple years ago. So sad that she died a couple years ago. But
Takia.
Yeah, right. And I think it's extremely important with elections coming up in a week, a little over a week, maybe. I think it's extremely important for everyone to remember this is the same guy that praised the Holy Land Five. This is the same guy that started the chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine at his college, who is being sued for having prior knowledge of October 7th. This is who this person is, and everyone needs to remember that. And if you're old enough to remember 9/11, you will need to remember that day.
Yeah. Unbelievable. But it does sound like, and we're going to wrap here in just a second because we're well over the hour that we usually miss. It does actually sound like there's starting to be just a little bit of sanity happening on the Republican side. Did you guys see this? The House member from Florida, Randy Fine, is now proposing 2 things. He's now proposing legislation that will bar people who have dual citizenship from serving in Congress. Bar them. So if you are someone who's got dual citizenship with Israel or with Somalia or with Uganda or whatever, it would bar them from being able to take to be elected into Congress, which I think is the right first start. And the second thing, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do this, but Lord help New York, please. It sounds like there's actually challenges to his naturalization, to his citizenship. I think we have made a perfectly reasonable case that Zohran Mamdani is a communist, a socialist. And one of the questions asked on the naturalization application is whether or not he's a communist. And it is very clear that he lied.
Mm-hmm.
Very
well. There's a number of them that have this problem, and I think President Trump and I think Marco Rubio are actually going to get around to enforcing the people lying on the naturalization papers and expel them. Ilhan Omar is likely to be gone. There's a handful of others, and you know what? Frankly, people, you can cry about it, you can call it racism. Suck it. Actually.
This isn't racism, because you know what? If all he did was just be a Muslim in the United States running for office, I don't think anyone would care.
Nope.
Well, some would.
Nope.
I wouldn't.
Nope.
Because there's a lot of
wouldn't.
reasonable, peaceful Muslims out there who actually want to assimilate in the United States, not Muslims who come into the country and say they need to remake the state in their own image. And according to his dad,
and then take control of the means of production, which is
That's
basically stealing your businesses from you and
that's right,
giving them to a bunch of people who are going to destroy them and squander them, and then your business is going to fail, and we're all going to be in some big shit soon.
I just really hope New York City loves rolling blackouts.
It's coming. It's all coming. It's all coming. Look, folks, we haven't said this enough, and we need to make sure that we spend more time talking about this, but the camel's nose is already under the tent. They are already halfway in the tent. Radical Islamism, Islamofascism, the whole unholy alliance between these authoritarian, totalitarian, dystopian, disastrous economic, ideological systems is here. And it is being led by Islamists in our government. This is a big problem, folks. This is a huge issue that if we don't get our arms around, it's going to be too late, because you can't undo that stuff easily.
You got to shoot your way out of it.
Listen, New York City, I've never been to New York City. And I'll tell you right now, my wife has been begging me to take her to New York City, and I absolutely refuse. And she is upset because she wants to go. I will not bring my family to your city ever unless this changes. It won't happen.
Listen, I wanted to go to New York City my entire life. Like I wanted to go so bad. I went in 2017, and from the second I got off the airplane, I was like, why did I want to come to this place? I wanted to go home the entire time I was there. It's disgusting everywhere, even in the nice parts. It's gross. It goes from smelling like dog pee or from human pee to dog pee. In the nice, like where the celebrities live in New York City, it smells like dog pee everywhere. In the city, it smells like human pee.
Sounds like San Francisco.
Yeah.
I cannot justify bringing my family to a place where their life would literally be at risk everywhere we go. And that's exactly what would happen if we walked into New York City. I can't do it. And I'm not going to. And I know I'm not the only one. And it's only going to get 100 times worse if you elect this radical, this lunatic. He speaks well, but this guy is going to destroy New York. And if he gets elected, I guarantee you these guys are going to be emboldened, and they think that they're going to be able to do this across the country. And I'm here to tell you, it ain't going to freaking work. It's not going to work. You can try it, but we will go to war over this. We'll do it. All right. Last word, folks. We're done. We're over. Well, wow. This is the longest one we've done so far. Sorry, folks, for keeping you in the comments. I know we try to keep this to an hour, but this is an important topic. It's important that we understand the radicalism that is running rampant, the lunacy that has taken over the Democrat Party. They've absolutely taken control of the Democrat Party, and you're going to see a lot more of this.
Yeah. I have one last comment, and it's very simple. So we are stuck with early voting for now. Go and use it. Make sure you get out and vote. If you're in Virginia, if you're in New Jersey, if you're in New York City, if you're in any of these places that have these off-cycle elections going on, make sure you get out and vote. Do it early, because we've already seen what these libs can do on election day to screw around with your election.
That's right.
Go get your vote in. Go do it early. As long as we have it and we're forced to do it, you need to do it too.
That's right. All right. Some quick programming notes, folks. We'll see you on Wednesday. We are going to try to stick to our regular schedule of Monday and Wednesday, 9:30 Eastern on YouTube, on Rumble, on the X account. I do have one slight change. So for those of you guys that follow me over on TikTok, I have historically been doing a prayer live that I've dubbed Pray America at 9:30 on Sunday nights. We are going to permanently transition that event to Thursday, starting this Thursday. So Thursday at 9:30 Eastern on my PatriotDad EV 3.0 account, we're going to kick off on Halloween Eve what I think is going to be a massive, massive movement on social media of Christians coming together, putting their content together, their posts, their videos, preaching the gospel on Halloween. Halloween is the most important day. It's almost like Easter, Resurrection Sunday, except for the devil. It is the day that the enemy can run wild across this world, across the entire globe, because people invite him in. That's just the bottom line. So we are challenged as Christians. 1 John 3:8 says that the Son of God came to earth, came to the world to destroy the works of the enemy. So we're going to start that on Thursday night at 9:30 over at my TikTok account at PatriotDad EV 3.0. We're going to pray probably for an hour, hour and a half. We'll invite some people up that want to pray with us. And we've got some incredible prayer warriors that join us. Incredible. Like my wife will sit here and cry the entire time prayer is going on. SK will tell you, Nam will tell you, Anthony's been there. It is incredible. This is the same effort that we put together before the election last year, where we prayed straight every night for 2 weeks prior to the election. And by the time that we got to election eve, we had over 10,000 people in the live at one time praying with us. We are going to move mountains. We are going to stand in the gap as the enemy is preparing to try to take territory on Halloween. And we're going to pray. So 9:30 Eastern, Thursday night on my @PatriotDad EV 3.0 account. Join us there. Folks, this was fun. I hope you got something out of this. This is a really, really important topic that we all need to pay very close attention to. But with that, we are out. Later.
The bullets and the punches and the riots have been flowing in only one direction for too long.
I've been trying to tell you guys this whole time how corrupt all of these things were, and here we are.
It is not our responsibility to fix something they spent years intentionally trying to destroy. Unity can only happen in a country when you have a people who agree on what the outcome should be.